This is Dr. Cool Fix. Today we got some two guys and even more we're going to be bringing into talking about why my AC delays takes time before it started cooling. If you're coming to my channel for the first time, kindly subscribe, turn on your notification, and let's rock and roll. Now there are a lot of factors that can actually make the AC system of your car to delay before cooling. Take some time before it starts cooling because your AC system have a lot of complexity parts that are easy to be recognized. Like you can see here, we have a control valve, solenoid control valve, and expansion valve. Now, for most systems that are variable displacement compressor, you often find a solenoid control valve. But all the systems, if they are not equipped with solenoid control valve, they still have expansion valve or the orifice tube. Okay, now when we talk about the system takes time before it starts getting cold, there are a lot of things that can actually cause it, but I'm going to be narrowing down to some few of them. The most common one that you often find along. First of all, a bad compressor. When a compressor gets bad, sometimes it's not where it actually get to where the AC system start blowing warm air. No. When your compressor get bad, you start putting up some symptoms, and one of these symptoms at the very early stage of the filling of your compressor is that it takes time to actually build up a compression to compress refrigerant to the right amount is going to take to actually cool your cabin. And this is often what you describe as the system delays before cooling. So be sure to use your manifold gauge set to get it hooked up to this low pressure side and the high pressure side and take the readings and see the compression ratios which you're seeing right there. If it's anything odd above or less than, if it is less, then that's good. If it is ratio 1:4, that's good. Ratio 1:5, that's good. But if it goes ratio 2:4 or ratio 2:5, then that's not a good one. You need to replace it. The second reason why you might have a delay in cooling is a plug up condenser. A condenser is most often times right here before the radiator. The radiator and the condenser are pretty much almost the same, sharing sparks. Now here, in this guy here, they have a blower, they have a radiator fan there, as much as the same radiator fan is actually what is controlling, is cooling down the condenser. So if it's plugged up, if your condenser is plugged up, most of the times you're actually going to be noticing a very sensible cooling when you started driving fast. And sometimes you might not even get it. It's going to cause a whole lot of delay before it started cooling better. This factor you need to consider is the fan healthy enough? There is a difference between that the fan is running and the fan is healthy. You need to figure out when you turn on the AC, does the fan come on? If the fan doesn't come on, well, there's going to be a whole lot of pressure building up right there. The reason there is that the AC system, like I said, is made up of different complexity parts that works together. So the fan need to pick up at the right time and pick up and run at its commanded. If the brushes, the carbon brushes and the rest of them are worn out, it's not going to run as it's supposed to, and therefore leading to increase in pressure and poor condensation, which is actually the main reason why the fan is introduced into the condenser area to actually reduce the temperature building up and pressure building up due to expansion of the refrigerant. So you want to check the fan and make sure that it is in a good condition. The next thing you need to look out for when troubleshooting a car that blows, that takes time to cool, is a bad expansion valve. A bad expansion valve can also trigger the same situation. If it is bad, it restricts a lot of refrigerant that's going into the evaporator core, and it left only gas to pass through and filter off the liquid. And when this happens, you will often find that the AC system is going to take a whole lot of time to actually start cooling the cabin. So be sure to diagnose your expansion valve and know if it has scaled through and aced and not being the one creating the mess inside the system. The last guy here, which I'm going to be using to crown it up, is not this guy. This is a solenoid control valve. A bad solenoid control valve can actually cause a delay in the AC system cooling. So the best way to find out if suppose this guy is among it is actually to hook up your gauge and start up your car, put on the AC on, and see if it responds snappily. If it doesn't respond snappily on the low side as much as on the high side, the pressure doesn't respond snappily, then you could be having a bad solenoid control valve, and replacing it is often going to fix this problem. Now the last guy which I'm going to be using to round this up is a plugged cabin filter. The cabin filter is actually what is designed to filter all this dust that is going in, that's being sucked in through here, and some too sucking through here. So it filters the dust and dirt that's supposed to be getting inside the system. So if it's for any reason plugged up, it's going to restrict the cold air that's supposed to be supplied into the cabin. So you're going to be having some cold air, but it's not circulating on time. And this often leads to a delay in cooling of the AC system. So the cooling filter is most of the time designed to last forever, but not within a dusty environment. Over time, it gets plugged up. So you want to check it, replace it if it is too plugged up, and you see your AC bounce back to life. Now the last one, which I'm going to be using to cap it off, is a low refrigerant level inside the AC system. When you have a low refrigerant level, I want you to understand that the whole refrigerant setup component, the expansion valve, the compressor, and the climatronics, the condenser, the evaporator, all is actually to regulate the movement of the refrigerant. So if there is insufficient refrigerant inside the system, well, it's going to be taking some time before it will cool, it will get cold. So the right quantity is the key shot to solving those problems. I think that even should be the first startup of the diagnosis. Check the pressure, right? You connect the high pressure side of your quick connect coupler here and the low one here. And you start up the car, turn on the AC, and take a look at the gauge and see what is giving you there as a service technician. Now, if you're not so sure about it, then go ahead and check the required quantity for your car, then charge it up to that required quantity, then take a feel at it, go ahead and perform some sort of service, make sure that the condenser is not plugged up, make sure also that the filter is not plugged up, and also perform the test on how to check the expansion valve and see if the expansion valve is in a very good condition. And once all this is checked through, I'm certain it's not going to bypass all the components. I mean, all this whole thing, it's not going to bypass the component. You should be able to find exactly which one is actually creating the mess, because it's like a whole picture. Any of them is responsible. Any of these components here is capable of causing the problem. But the last guy I'm going to be leaving you guys with here is, be sure to check the expansion valve, double check the expansion valve very well. And if yours is a variable displacement compressor, be sure to double check the solenoid control valve. I know you find this very helpful, because if you have applied what I taught you in here, definitely you should be able to solve your car AC system that takes time before it starts blowing cold. I remain Dr. Quotofix. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now. Bye.